Said them dress up in a jacket and them dress up in a tie. Them a vampire. Them will suck out your blood. Who am I talking about?
Government.
Surprise, surprise. Right, we've got something very controversial for you today from Jane Roberts' Seth Speaks books. Hi to everybody at New Awareness Network in New York City. You know how good you are. So we're going to read some of this and we're going to have a discussion about it. Me and him.
Or me and him.
Correct. Oh, it's bright today. Right. Something very, very controversial, viewers. Are you ready?
They love controversy.
Do you like controversy? Controversy. So it's Seth, who's no longer physical. We mentioned this before, and he's in a different dimension now. And he tells you that at one time in your terms, I myself acted as such a guide. Excuse me. This is an afterlife guide to some people because of their belief systems. When you die, you believe in whatever you believe in, you know, your religious beliefs or whatever. And he acted as a guide, and now I'll read it to you. The situation is rather tricky from the guide's viewpoint, he says here, for psychologically, utmost discretion must be used. And I know that when we sleep, not together, because we're not into that, that we ourselves, I've written down my dreams, and we ourselves act as guides for people that cross over. And it's kind of a nice thing to do. The ignition's on. Okay. One man's Moses, as I discovered, may not be another man's Moses. In the Middle East, in the Quran, Moses was known as Musa. I bought something from a man called Musa once. I have a cousin called Musa. I have served as a rather credible Moses on several occasions, says Seth, and once, though this is hard to believe, to an Arab man, an Arabian. Says the Arabian was a very interesting character, by the way, and to illustrate some of the difficulties involved, I will tell you about him. He hated the Jews. But somehow he was obsessed with the idea that Moses was more powerful than the Allah.
Well, he believed in Allah.
Yeah, he believed in the Allah, but he was obsessed with the idea that Moses was more powerful than the Allah, the God. And for years, this was the secret sin upon his conscience. He spent some time in Constantinople at the time of the Crusades. He was captured and ended up with a group of Turks, all to be executed by the wonderful, beautiful Christians. How fantastic they are. In this case, very horribly so. Guess what they did? They forced his mouth open and stuffed it with burning coals as a starter.
Well, that's...
Ooh, yummy. Shisha nice. Coals. Not very nice, is it, to do it to another person? He cried, Allahu Akbar, Allah. He cried to Allah and then, in greater desperation, to Moses. And as his consciousness left his body, Moses was there.
So then this would be a bit like that. I think it was the Mummy 2, where one of them's there and the mummy's coming towards him and he's going, Jesus protect me, and the Jewish side, and he goes through them all until he finally gets to the one that he then allows him. So that's what he's doing there, basically. Yeah,
it's interesting, isn't it? He believed in Moses more than he did Allah, and I did not know until the last moment which form I was to assume, says Seth. He was a very likeable chap, and under the circumstances I did not mind when he seemed to expect a battle for his soul. Moses and Allah were to fight for him. He could not rid himself of the idea of force, though he had died by force, and nothing could persuade him to accept any kind of peace or contentment or any rest until some kind of battle was wrought. A friend and I, with some others, like we do when we're sleeping, we help people cross over, staged the ceremony, and from opposite clouds in the sky, the Allah and I shouted out our claims upon his soul, while he, poor man, cowered on the ground between us. Now, while I tell this story humorously, you must understand that the man's belief brought it about. The man's belief brought it about.
So then, all these Satanists that we've got in Parliament, they're going to meet the devil.
Briefly, yes. They'll meet their own beliefs, because there's the word lie in belief. I only believe in good, love and happiness. Not interested in anything else. Yeah, the man's belief brought it about, and so to set him free, we worked it through. It says, I called upon Jehovah, but to no avail, because our Arab did not know of Jehovah, only of Moses. And it was Moses that he put his faith. The Allah drew a cosmic sword, and I set it afire, so that he dropped it. It fell on the ground, and set the land aflame. Our Arab friend cried out again. He saw leagues of followers behind the Allah, and so leagues of followers appeared behind me. Our friend was convinced that one of the three of us must be destroyed, and he feared mightily that he would be the victim. Finally, the opposing clouds in which we had appeared came closer. In my hand I held a tablet that said, "Thou shalt not murder. Thou shalt not kill." That Allah held a sword. As we came closer, we exchanged these items, and our followers merged. We came together, forming the image of a sun, and we said, "We are all one." Now, what does that tell you? The two diametrically opposed ideas had to merge, or the man would have had no peace. And only when these opposites were united, negativity, positivity, rich and poor, could we begin to explain his situation. What do you think to them then? Interesting stuff, eh? Quite controversial. So,
Dennis Healy. World events do not occur by accident. They are made to happen, whether it is to do with national issues or commerce, and most of them are staged and managed by those who hold the purse strings.